Turbo and 2K show.
What's up, 2K crew? Yes, we are back again. And yes, 2K's is live in the building. How was Christmas last week, my friend?
It was good. Yeah, it was nice to see the family. Finally was starting to feel better. The week before that, I was
Dying.
Yeah, it was bad. That was a bad 3 or 4 days. So back on the mend, feeling better. Still got this dry cough, and my nose just continues to run like a faucet. But other than that, I feel fine.
Oh, good. I mean, it's one of those 'tis the season.
Yeah.
I mean,
And when you have 3 elementary kids,
yes,
it
who come
definitely does not
home,
help.
with a cesspool of germs, it's bound to happen. It's bound to happen for sure. But yeah, 2K crew, this is our last show of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Last show of the year, because obviously, if you and I want to continue to be married, probably not doing a show next week.
Yeah.
Probably not, considering it is Christmas Eve. And then New Year's Eve, I'm sure we'll be hanging out somewhere, partaking in some adult beverages.
Yes.
And however, would be a funny show.
Yeah.
Probably
absolutely.
would be a funny
Absolutely.
show.
Yes, it would.
But it's... We honestly want to be with our friends, family type shit. So
Yeah.
let's take 2023 out with the bang, 2Ks. And my ears are, I'm all kinds of tangled up over here. I am all kinds of tangled up, but that's all right. 2K crew, we are going to break down what the hell's going on with all the quarterbacks this year.
It has been a crazy year. I mean, I think it was last week I heard that, and this was at the end of last week. And today's been was a different day where we saw some more quarterbacks playing. But we've had 54, I believe, different starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
That is correct. That is correct. And that is going into today.
Going into today, yeah.
54 different starting quarterbacks have played, just below the record, excluding strike seasons, set last year, 2Ks, of 68.
Yeah.
And there have been 16 starters go down with injury here in 2023. So we'll kind of go over them, kind of see what kind of difference that where we think the team that they play for would be. And I mean, honestly, this really isn't anything that most of them, I mean, it's nothing really you can prevent.
No.
I mean, they're injuries. It happens. But yeah, we're going to break down that, and then we're going to dive into the college football playoff now that our resident Michigan fan is in the house. We're going to go over spreads, over-unders, give you our takes on all of that. And we've got a really, really awesome top 5 for you guys today with the theme here. And I do have some nice little graphics here. It's snowing here in the studio, 2Ks. Did you know that? It's snowing. It's snowing. But yeah, we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about our top 5 Christmas cookies. So, and that's something I'm going to guess we have 1 or 2 that are the same, but I have a very good feeling not all 5 are going to be the same. So for those of you watching and listening, go ahead and drop your top 5 Christmas cookies. For those of you on YouTube, which it seems like the feed into the Facebook group is once again not working, so I do want to apologize. But if it is, let me know, because I can't pull it up. So if you guys and gals are able to see it, please chime in, let me know. And if you're on YouTube, give us that thumbs up, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and ring the bell so you know every time we go live. And for those of you on Twitter, big holler at the Twitter fam. So 2Ks, let's jump into this. Let's jump into some news here real quick. There really hasn't been a whole lot of news broken. I mean, last week I kind of broke down the obviously the Shohei contract. Mm-hmm. But one thing we didn't break down, which I didn't break down, was kind of newsworthy, what is kind of the language in it.
Yeah.
$2 million a year for 10 years, and then obviously the rest of it's backloaded. Mm-hmm. Genius move by both Shohei, his team, and the Dodgers. Because on the Dodger side, we can pay. We can just kind of put this off for 10 years. We can throw that $680 million into escrow, let it make money for us, and then pay it out at the end. And if you're Shohei, you open up a whole bunch of extra capital for the team. And then before you actually start collecting that big part of it, You get your ass out of California and go to Florida, where there isn't taxes,
Yeah.
and then you're just. I mean, you talk about just wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, the first thing that popped in my head though, after seeing how that contract was all, obviously backloaded, is I think it's time that MLB baseball comes out with a salary cap. Like this is going to get very, very, very hard to watch. Watch these teams basically just try to buy championships nowadays instead of. To me, it's things like this that are going to ruin the game. And I mean, from this point on, I have always hated the Yankees and have always rooted against everybody but them. Well, I would root for the Yankees at this point over the Dodgers.
Yeah, it is. This is in. And like I said, this is.
And they're not done yet. I mean,
No.
they're going to end up signing that other kid from Japan.
And they traded for Tyler Glasnow.
Yep.
And yeah, the Yamamoto sweepstakes is still lingering out there, and he's going to draw $300 million. I mean, there's reports that I believe the Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Giants have all offered at least $300 million to this kid. And so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he lands. And he honestly is, for lack of better terms, 2K is like the last real big name.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of like mid-tier guys here, and.
Well, this whole offseason was Shohei Ohtani
Absolutely.
and then everybody else. Like,
Yeah.
it just wasn't a big time offseason as far as for free agent accusations. But no, it's just I was very, very disappointed to see see him end up a Dodger. That's for sure. And just with the way that things have been going these last few years and how it's just turned. We kind of got away from that buying championships with all the years of the Yankees doing it. And we kind of got away from that, and now I feel like we're going right back into that.
Well, I do have a feeling that not every player is going to be able to pull this off.
No.
Because
But baseball already was getting to the point where it was hard enough to watch, and we were losing fans and losing interest year in and year out, and it's shit like this that doesn't help the cause.
the pitch clock saved baseball.
Well,
2Ks.
the pitch clock was actually, in the beginning, I admit. I mean, I sat here and said it on this show. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I do like it. After
don't
watching
mind
a
it.
season of it,
I don't mind
I do
it.
like it. I didn't even really notice it all that much. I did notice, games going faster.
Yeah.
Not so much, waiting around, pitchers walking around the mound, batters walking around the plate. Kind of took away from all that. But so I did enjoy it. But this shit here of, just this isn't even done yet, and the lineup that the Dodgers had last season was already insane. Now we're going to throw Shohei in with the two, what was it, second place and third place in the MVP voting in the National League last year, and now we're going to throw the American League MVP in the middle of all that. Like, I don't want to watch that shit. It's like fucking watching an All-Star game every single year because we throw out just money all over the place and buy the players, buy championships. You backload a fucking contract for 10 years from now. Like, this shit it just fucking ruins everything. And for a sport that's struggling already to keep interest and keep people into it, shit like this where one team just dominating over all the other ones as far as with players, they're not doing anything to help their cause. I think it's time to. When you think about the NFL and just the parity in the league and how it's basically any given Sunday, any time. And at the beginning of the season, you have your favorites, but there's always 3 or 4 teams. Look what the Texans are doing this year.
Yeah.
Like there's always 3 or 4 teams that just shock the world every single year, and make themselves a presence in the playoffs or go on a run and go and win a championship. That shit ain't happening in baseball. You know exactly what fucking teams are going to be there every single year, and it's the teams that do this shit. There's no salary cap in it. It's always the same teams. They don't rebuild, nothing like that. It's just a fucking reload year in and year out. It's getting really, really hard to sit up here and say that I'm all baseball fan. Baseball is my favorite because I'm kind of sliding away from that these days.
Now here's the one glimmer of hope that I'm hanging on to, and you mentioned the Yankees previous. They make the big splash with Juan Soto. Now is this we do expect them? I mean, they gave up quite a big haul. I mean, a lot of arms to San Diego. So kind of the expectation is yes, they're going to extend him. But what if? I mean, that's not a certainty. Okay, so yes, they get, if worst case scenario, they gave up a haul to kind of be the first one to kind of court Juan Soto, if you will. And last I checked, Juan Soto doesn't pitch. The Yankees, their biggest Achilles heel is health, which Soto does tend to stay a little bit more healthy than, Judge. Definitely different than Stanton. So it seems like Stanton plays a third of the year. And if you're a Yankee fan, I guarantee you want him off the books as soon as possible.
Oh, for sure.
As soon as possible. And Shohei's not helping the Dodgers pitch this year. Yes, they made the trade for Glass now. Potentially, he has all the right things to be a number one for any team in the league. But there's a lot of question marks with his health. He's had arm trouble. He's had, back trouble. So is it a slam dunk? No. Now, if you were to tell me that, all right, yeah, they went out and traded for Garrett Cole, then I'd be like, all right, what the fuck,
Yeah.
But we've seen teams that out-hit bad pitching. Does it happen a lot? Is it a good formula to kind of go into the playoffs with? Not that we've seen historically, no. No, especially once you get into the playoffs.
But with the
Just
lineup,
ask the Braves.
The lineup, yeah, and true, but the Braves pitching was really, really good. They just kind of had both things go. The pitching wasn't great in the playoffs, and their fucking offense that was dominating all season long disappeared in the playoffs. But like this Dodgers team now, you're talking about three of the best players in all of baseball in that lineup, 1, 2, and 3. Like, I don't think your pitching even has to be that great. Like you guys, they're gonna score 6, 7 runs. A game easy, no problem. So, I mean, if you just pitch decent and have a decent bullpen, your offense is going to win you. Fuck, I don't even know how you attack that with
walk the bases loaded
lineup
and go after Will Smith.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably your best option.
And can you imagine just the boners at the Thornburg households right now?
Oh God!
I mean, this signing was over a week ago. I guarantee they have slapped the shit out of that, beat it up so hard, and it is still, I mean, more than 4 hour, Viagra hard. So kudos to you guys. Your team broke baseball. Your team broke baseball.
Yeah, it's
Well, now that we've kind of got that out of the way, that's the news of the week. Let's jump into these quarterbacks here, 2Ks. I pulled a list. I mean, look at me being a producer and shit. And now that we're situated like this, you can actually see what I see too. So big one, obviously Aaron Rodgers. September 11th, runs out, 4 plays, Dunsky. Might be Dunsky for the year. But he kind of kicked everything off. Horrible situation. Whether you are a Rodgers fan or a Rodgers hater, this is something that if you're a Rodgers hater, you would have much rather him be healthy and struggle all year rather than go out. I mean, yes, Jets fans can be some of the most obnoxious and arrogant people on the planet, and they haven't won anything. And quick sidelight, okay? Jets had the last time the Jets were good was Mark Sanchez. Did you see him today?
No.
His hair is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he's got like shoulder length hair now, and it's all curly like a Cocker Spaniel. Get the fuck out of here. Get a haircut. Anyway, I digress. I digress.
After the Thanksgiving Day debacle, butt fumble, you would think that guy wouldn't even show up at an NFL field. Just stay off property. Don't even allow anybody to see you ever.
Yeah, it's similar. It's similar to this here, 2Ks. But here, check this out. Look at that. That is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he is kind of a goofy looking dude to begin with, and then have
long hair and with a very, very high receding hairline.
Yes.
Yeah, not good. Yeah. Not good. We'll put a hat on.
Yeah. Beanie.
Yeah.
Beanie. Especially this time of year. Especially this time of year.
And you have the excuse to be wearing it. I mean,
Yeah,
you're in
I mean,
New York. It's
take
cold.
full
Yeah.
advantage of it.
Yeah,
Why not?
absolutely, absolutely.
Why not?
You were not in Miami today.
No, and we'll kind of glance over the walking wounded here, 2Ks. Then we'll kind of go down with each team to be like, where do you think they would be with said guy?
Sure.
Anthony Richardson, the number 4 overall pick for the Colts, goes out. He, if I remember correctly, he only finished one game.
Yeah, because
So
he got hurt in the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Um,
Concussion, shoulder.
Yep.
And but he had that team rolling.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, as good of a season as they have put together, like, and I've said it for a long time now. Gardner Minshew is.
Love him.
I mean, I'm hard pressed to come out here with an argument on a better backup quarterback in the NFL, and I have a really hard time saying, when you look across the league, look at every single team, and say their number 1 starting quarterback is healthy, everybody healthy in the league, no injuries. I would say that Gardner Minshew is better than some of the true number 1s in the game that these teams have. Like, guys is just he does not get enough credit for what he's done this season, and to come into the season where he was supposed to be the backup, they just drafted basically a rookie phenom. I mean, the athlete that this Richardson kid is, in the upside. Like, we knew it was going to take some time.
Lamar Jackson on
steroids.
Yeah,
just an
steroids.
Unbelievable athlete that eventually he's going to get it and go. Hopefully, in his as his career goes on, he can stay on the field and stay healthy because he's very, very fun to watch.
He's huge.
Yes,
and fast.
But going into the season, Minshew not having, he wasn't expecting to play, and to be at this point today, win a game last night, be at 8-6 now, absolutely. Like, and that's where I was going at with this argument. Like, with a lot of teams, when you think about losing your starting quarterback and going to a backup, you think your record's going to be worse, obviously, right? This record on this team and being 8-6 right now is probably. They're probably a better team with Minshew as their quarterback right now. Nothing against Anthony Richardson. Rookie quarterback, it takes time. It takes time. You're not just, not everybody can just C.J. Stroud this thing and just take off running. There's these quarterbacks, it takes time to get it to where Minshew's been in the league. Minshew's been on some teams. He's played on a Super Bowl team. Like,
that's why they brought him in.
Yeah. I mean, so he knows how to win.
That's the reason he's there.
So he's the one guy in this whole argument, this conversation that we're going to have, that I would say probably worked out better for the Colts this season.
Yeah.
As far as where their record is, how they're a playoff team at this point right now, I think they're better off with Minshew as their quarterback. Now, big picture, you obviously want Richardson taking the snaps.
Next up, we got Deshaun Watson with a shoulder. He's been out 11 games. I mean, that one is what it is.
Nobody gives a fuck about him.
No, but Joe Flacco has got them boys rolling. He basically came off the couch.
Yeah.
And had another very good game today. Danny Dimes has been out with a knee. His backup,
DeVito.
Paisan. I mean, where the hell did this kid come from?
Illinois, right?
Yeah. Something like that.
I think Illinois.
His agent, if you don't know, bleeds Italian. I mean, if you cut this guy, gravy's coming out of his veins. I mean, this dude is awesome. Love every bit of it. Today on the sideline, he's donning a green outfit, suit, coat, pants, because he was just inducted into the Italian Hall of Fame.
I saw that. Yep.
So big shout out to you, bro. And this is something that we'll come back over the list and kind of get into, but. Kirk Cousins with the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings have been another Achilles. The Vikings, came back with Dobbs, and he seemed like a savior. Now it's kind of a revolving door, I guess you will. Kyler Murray has come back from the ACL, and if you're a Cardinals fan or a Kyler fan, you really didn't have any high hopes for this season so far, or for this whole season. So I think his play is kind of right on par of where it should be, and just loses. And this is gonna sound bad, but lose as many games as you can because you have Kyler there. You don't have to worry about getting a quarterback, and if another team is enticed by that draft pick that needs a quarterback, you got plenty to reload around Kyler, and to kind of fill in the holes where, because this team they were teetering on being a good team, but yes, Kyler ultimately is the guy over there. We just saw Joe Burrow go out with a wrist, and his backup. Jeez, oh, Pete.
Been a heck of a story with him. That's been a heck of a story.
That dude has made a lot of money.
Yes, he has.
And love his moxie. Beats the Vikings who cut him, and cut him in like a shitty way. So you saw him coming off the field, throws his helmet down. He's like, they never should have fucking cut me. Never. I love that. I love that. And I mean, yeah, he's definitely not going to be a backup next year.
No.
Definitely not. Someone's either going to trade for him, or if he's not under contract from the Bengals, would it be smart for the Bengals to hold on to this kid? Yeah, but he's too young to kind of put a cap on.
Yep.
And his value is never more now. So yeah, gotta, in my opinion. And some injuries that haven't really haven't been, kind of. Well, we've got Justin Herbert with his broken finger. He's out. Easton Stick steps in.
Yeah,
right?
That game was something else, huh?
Yeah, not that team was doing a whole lot.
No.
But after Herbert goes out, you could tell every single player on that team was just like, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean that team's been unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it. Staley had lost that team a long time ago.
Yep.
Long time ago, probably before the season even kicked off.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of knew that this was going to be his last season.
Should be, yes.
Yeah. And I remember, and just watching the game on Thursday night, I'm like, he ain't gonna make it through.
No.
He's gonna be fired in the morning. And I'm sure it's
I'm surprised he didn't get fired at halftime.
yeah.
That game was bad.
That was awful.
That was bad.
Probably one of the worst performances I think I've ever seen from an NFL team. Just terrible. And their offense was terrible. Their defense was terrible. Their special teams were terrible. I mean, across
Coach
the board.
was terrible, obviously.
Yes,
so.
everything was everything dog shit. And the thing is, like, they have some pretty damn good talent there. Like,
yes,
Herbert's been hurt this year with the finger injuries, obviously, but he's played majority of the season. Keenan Allen was out Thursday night, but he's played majority of the season. They have a lot of big-time names on defense, Bosa and Khalil Mack. Like, you got big names.
Khalil Mack's leading the league in sacks.
Yeah, you cannot be you can't be this bad.
No.
And I understand a lot of them have been close ball games that they've lost. They've lost more close ball games than anybody in the league, but you got to win some. You got to win those. You got to find ways to win those games, and instead they find ways to lose those games.
Yeah, and it's not just this year, 2Ks. It's
been since he's taken over as the head coach.
Yeah, he kind of took the league by storm with his aggressiveness, going for it on fourth downs, and situations like that. And I think ultimately that's kind of got into his head, because everyone's like, man, this is so stupid. Why are you doing this? And maybe it's the lack of confidence because that first year he did very well. Made it to I believe they made it to the playoffs. But or maybe just fell short because I'm confusing my years kind of right off the bat. But yeah, that the roster is too good for them to be a below 500 team. Sure. And in that division, you can't be a 500 team or under. It just can't happen.
Nope.
It can't happen. In the same game there, Jimmy G's missed a couple games, but it hasn't mattered because that coach was fired. Yeah. And Antonio Pierce.
A whole different team, yeah. Since Antonio Pierce has taken over that. Like, I don't know. Obviously, when you fire a head coach and you hire one of these guys, like Antonio Pierce he's just the guy to fill in. Like, he's the perfect guy to hire because you don't want to hire somebody that is going to kind of demand respect when it comes to hiring a head coach in the offseason. Like, you don't want to have this guy take over that's been on the staff that has not worked out, and then he wins 4 or 5 of the last 6-7 games of the season, and then everybody's saying, well, why don't we hire this guy as the head coach? Well, I think when you make these decisions where you're firing a coach and you want to go hire a new coach, you have to blow it all up. Yeah. You're not keeping piece here, piece there. You might keep maybe a fucking strength and conditioning guy, but you're not going to keep you're not keeping coaches, actual true. You got to blow that shit up and start fresh. So I think that's why a lot of times these guys like Antonio Pierce, former players that obviously have the respect of the locker room. Because if you're a former player, these players are going to listen to you, and I think so. But you're perfect because no matter what he does this season, we're not going to be talking about him being the next head coach of the Raiders. It's going to be a very easy decision. Like, sorry, thank you for what you did, and maybe we'll have a spot for you in the end, but we're not going to be considering your name for the head coaching spot. So but again, he's got the respect of the players, and it showed because it's been a whole different team. And hey, we're gonna give some credit to Aiden O'Connell too, because
AOC.
He's a hell of a lot fucking better than Jimmy G. And I've been talking about that fucking ass jockey for the last 3 seasons now.
Your favorite quarterback in the world,
Dude, I've said it for 3 years now. That ass jockey is the worst in the league, and he sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks.
He's pretty
shitty. Yeah, he fucking sucks.
But we've also had Ryan Tannehill miss some time, and we've seen Will Levis kind of come in, and I think that Tannehill's time in Tennessee is done. I think it's Will Levis' team going forward. Kenny Pickett for the Steelers with an ankle. He was ruled out this week. It's one of those weird ankle things where it was a high ankle sprain, but now there's a surgery you can get to help kind of speed that along. So we'll see what happens there. Bryce Young's missed a game. Geno Smith's missed a game, and Matthew Stafford's missed a game, and then C.J. Stroud missed his first game today, and we saw a. So yeah, that's all the quarterbacks that have missed time this year. 2Ks. Now let's kind of rewind. I honestly don't think the Jets' record would be a whole lot better with Aaron Rodgers. Would a lot of the games be more respectable? Yeah. Yes. Would they be closer? Yes. Would they have a better record than what they do now? Yes. But that offensive line is terrible.
Offensive line is terrible. They don't have. I mean, outside of
it's the reason he got hurt to begin with.
Outside of Garrett Wilson, who do they have? They don't have. You got fucking receivers that played with Aaron Rodgers years ago. Like, sorry, Randall Cobb, you were great, phenomenal, but you don't have it anymore. Yeah. Lazard, you never had it. Like. Garrett Wilson, fucking special, very, very good. Haven't even seen the best of him because you think you fast forward to the next season because Rodgers ain't coming back. Like there ain't nothing to fucking play for. Not after that game this week. There's nothing to play for. No. So you look ahead, look to next year. Garrett Wilson gets a true quarterback and gets Aaron Rodgers out there. That dude's gonna go off.
A Breece Hall, a year
Breece Hall gonna go off
from that injury.
And you're not going to just be able to stack everybody in the box and just dare Zach Wilson to throw. You can't do that against Aaron Rodgers. No. So when that happens, you're going to start to see a lot better numbers out of Breece Hall too.
And the defense is what's keeping them even close in these games. So
defense is really good. I do think that if Aaron Rodgers has played every game this season, I think that we're talking about a potential playoff team here. I don't know if they have what it takes to beat Miami for that division.
Yeah.
Even with Rodgers,
because the Jets are 5-9 right now.
Yeah, but I definitely think they're a playoff team. I think Rodgers is the difference in that team because their defense is so good that I think you add Rodgers to that. They're probably right now at this point in the season. I think they're 7-8 wins, and that's definitely good enough to be in the playoffs.
Because the Bills right now are 8-6. Miami's 10-4. So 8-6 at this point. I would have to lean. Yes. Yeah. But are they an 11-12 win team with Rodgers? No.
Look, the shitty offensive line is what got them in this this problem in the very beginning. I mean, third, fourth play of the season, bad offensive line play, blown assignment. You leave one of the best pass rushers in the game. Nobody touches him.
Yeah.
And Rodgers tries to make a move to get out of the pocket, and this happens. Like it's been the story of the season. I mean, even before the season even started, that was what they were talking about. That's their weak point. Well, what the fuck? You bring in one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Aged, going into year 40, so he's old. This isn't the Aaron Rodgers, from 10 years ago.
No.
This is a different version. You bring him in with this fucking offensive line? Like, come on.
Yeah, and we all thought his offensive line in Green Bay last year was terrible. No,
Yeah.
this is even worse.
Yeah.
And we talked about Anthony Richardson and the Colts. I think this might be the best thing that could have happened to him. I mean, granted, I don't want to wish an injury on anybody, but aside, you brought up the Gardner Minshew kind of being the bridge here, and then you add on to that 2Ks the whole Jonathan Taylor thing, and we've kind of seen Pittman come alive here this season. We've seen what's his name, Rhodes. The other receiver there,
Yeah.
he's kind of matured alongside him. So, is this setting up to be a Colts team that could be very competitive in that division? Yes, yes. So, if you're a Colts fan, it sucks because AR is the show. This is what Baltimore fans have been experiencing with Lamar Jackson this whole time. But this cat's bigger, stronger, faster, and it's one more year to get more pieces around him. We've seen that offensive line play extremely good with Gardner Minshew. It's kind of going back to when just take last year and throw it away for the Colts. What they've been leading up to last year. So does it suck? Yeah, but going forward, I do think that is kind of one of the best things that could have happened. With the Browns, I mean, Deshaun, not a big fan.
Nope.
I do think that Flacco is going to make himself some more money because of what he's doing over there. Do I think he remains with the Browns after this season? Nope, because someone is going to need his services, and you could argue that he's that offensive line is good. Is it great? No. Is the defense great? Absolutely. 100%. But aside from like Amari Cooper, and we've seen David Njoku come out of nowhere, which how you can hide that gentleman anywhere as large as he is, you talk about a specimen.
I mean,
Good Lord.
for him, it's just getting a quarterback that can make the throws.
Yeah.
And it's like Cleveland has fucked around now for how long with these quarterbacks that just
overspent.
Oh my God,
for
yeah,
Deshaun.
and yeah, oh geez, I mean, yeah,
Way overspent
But like,
for
just have
Deshaun.
never they've had so many different quarterbacks, and they've tried so many different things, and trying to figure out that quarterback issue, the curse of being a quarterback in Cleveland for years now. And
that jersey with like 30 some people listed on it.
I mean, just all these failures basically. And who would have thought a fucking Joe Flacco, just a guy that look, everybody knows that the best of Flacco's days are
Done.
they're gone.
Yeah.
Those days are gone. But the guy knows how to read defenses. He knows how to check into the right plays. He knows how to make sure to always have them in situations where they're gonna be they're gonna be set up with the best play to attack whatever defense. He can make all the throws. He's got a
Still
freaking
got a
cannon for an
cannon.
arm.
Yeah.
And so for guys like Njoku, who Njoku being a tight end for a lot of other teams in the league, we're talking about. I'm not saying Travis Kelce numbers, but we're talking talent-wise and athleticism. That dude's right up there with him.
Yeah.
He just never has had been in an offense, a high-flying offense where they can throw the ball all over the place. He's never been given that chance.
Well, compared to every other tight end in the league, he makes all of them look like fat slobs.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude is a chiseled.
Yes.
He looks like a goddamn statue.
Yeah.
That runs like a 4.5. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, any quarterback in the league would be glad to have that dude. Now let's talk about the Giants here, 2Ks, with Danny Dimes. I mean, we got Tommy Cutlets over here. We got Tommy DeVito. The story itself is cool.
It is. It's.
Has he played well? Sure. I mean, he's shown glimpses of being better than Daniel Jones. But with it,
I would say that he is better.
yeah.
100%.
Even with the very limited play, time that we've seen, couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. And if you're the Giants, you got Jones under contract. He just signed a contract coming into this season. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of handcuffed with that. And Tommy Cutlets here is he can't be under that big of a contract. He can't be be there for the next 3 years or whatever. No. So if you're DeVito, I mean, this is the best scenario. You get the ball out, have nothing to lose. You still live with your mom and dad. Your mom still does your laundry, and you got the greatest looking and dressed agent of all time. This is basically an audition, and I honestly think he's acing the audition so far. You got Saquon Barkley, a horrible offensive line.
Oh, this team is trash.
Terrible.
They're trash.
But
they
terrible.
don't. If the Giants are smart, which I have to believe that all these organizations have very smart individuals, working within them.
Yeah.
The Giants don't want to win any more games.
No.
They don't want to win any more games because Danny Dimes is not a quarterback that's going to lead you to shit, and this DeVito guy, I'm sorry to say it, but he's not going to lead you to shit either.
No.
Can he be a serviceable backup quarterback? Mm-hmm. Sure. Sure. He's beat the Washington Redskins.
Yep.
Fucking ass. He's beat Green Bay. Fucking ass. Green Bay played a couple good games there. They ended up beating the Lions on Thanksgiving Day, but from that point they've been right back to the same. Just inconsistent. No, they lost today too. They're young. They're inconsistent, and that's just where they're at right now. They're just not. They're not. It's not the Green Bay teams of the past. And then they beat the Patriots. Arguably the worst team in the NFL with the Patriots. So now I look at what they got going on in the next 3 weeks. You got the Eagles twice. Not good. Not going to be good. Not going to be good. And you got the Rams. And since Stafford has come back from that one injury, the Rams have been they're a dangerous team.
Him and Cooper Kupp.
Yes.
And you got Puka Nacua, who is Cooper Kupp version 2.
Kyron Williams. Been one of them. I mean, they have had a couple of the biggest, pleasant surprises this year. Of Kyron Williams and this Puka Nacua kid that just comes out of nowhere.
He was even alive.
And it's just so this Rams team, they had some injuries. They got off to a really slow start. Things were bad for them. They've started to figure some shit out here, and this is a team that if they can somehow just slide into the playoffs, I don't want to play them. And I have to imagine some of these really good teams that are going to be 1 seeds, 2 seeds are coming off that bye or whatever. They're going to be worried about seeing them too.
Yeah, and. What about the Vikings, 2Ks? The Vikings are a different story. I mean, Kirk, this is his last year on his contract, if I'm not mistaken. He will be a free agent after the year's done. So, like I said, they've tried a couple options here, and they're sitting. I believe they're 7-7, so they're 500, second place in the AFC North, and this is a team that has weapons. They have a very good defense. They have arguably the best receiver in football. He's been banged up. I get that.
They have the best rookie receiver.
Yeah.
With the exception of Puka Nacua.
Yeah. So if this is a team, 2Ks, that I even think if Kirk comes back, even though I know you're not a Kirk Cousins fan at all.
Well, I'm not, but I will give credit where credit's due, because I think if this injury never happens to Kirk, they got off to a bad start.
Horrible.
But they were playing some of the best football when the injury happened.
Yeah, and if Jefferson stays healthy,
yes,
and they're
right in the running with Detroit,
hands down. And I believe Detroit plays them twice in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
and I do like Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff's a very good quarterback, but he's got to
learn how to play outdoors.
Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback in that division.
Yeah. Until Goff can play away from Detroit, Cousins can play anywhere. He can play outside. He can play in the dome in Minnesota. So I just need to see a little more. But as far as the Vikings going forward, 2Ks, this is a team that's ready to go. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. It stinks because I'm right with you. If Cousins is healthy, they are contending for that AFC North. And with the up and down with the Lions right now, even though they are a 10-win team, 10 wins, 7 wins could very, very easily swing in the next 3 weeks. So not to say that that's going to happen, but definitely a different story when Kurt's there. The Bengals again got off to a slow start, and I think we all can agree that slow start you can attribute to the calf injury with Burrow, and now we get the wrist, and I'm delaying because I forget his backup's name right now.
Browning?
Yes. And this kid's come out and just balled.
Been great. He's been really, really fun to watch, and for a season where what we've been talking about all night, with so many injuries to quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now, a lot of games, especially primetime games, that you going into the season we're very, very, very excited to see some of these matchups, and now with a lot of these injuries, it's like you kind of dread watching some of these games. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
We just watched a really good day of football Sunday. Like, can't wait for Monday Night Football. Who's playing? Yeah. I don't really give a fuck about that game.
Honestly, the NFL could flex them.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's like 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time, but still.
And they did it. They did it for tomorrow night's game, and now they're talking like Jalen Hurts is going to be out, and they're already talking about Geno Smith possibly being out. So we might be watching a Monday night game because Hurts has got he's sick.
Yeah.
So he's flying to Seattle separate because they don't want him around the team because he's so sick, which is smart.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And then Geno Smith with the injury that happened last week, they're already expecting. So we could be watching a Marcus Mariota and Drew Lock Monday Night Football tomorrow night.
Stellar television. Stellar television.
It's been so hard to watch, and it all is because starting quarterbacks and all these injuries. I mean, this whole topic, and so kind of getting back to where I was going at with it with this Browning kid for you think Joe Burrow goes down. I mean, one of the most polarizing players in the NFL, like one of the best quarterbacks, most fun quarterback to watch, like throwing it to arguably the best wide receiver in the game and Jamar Chase, like
definitely the best wide receiver core.
Yeah, I mean that team is so much fun to watch, so much fun to watch. And so then when you see Burrow go down a couple weeks ago, you're like, jeez, another one. Here goes another team that's exciting to watch. That get some primetime games. That even when they're not primetime, like I'm going to tune in and try to find that Cincinnati game, or I'm going to tune into the Red Zone channel and watch that. Well, no more. I mean, they're not even fun to watch anymore. Like here goes Jamar Chase. Like the guy's just wasted away right now because he doesn't have anybody to throw. Well, this Browning kid has changed it because a lot of these teams go into these backup quarterbacks that nobody's ever heard of. They fucking suck and it's shitty TV. Well, kudos to Browning because he's made it very, very fun to keep to watch Cincinnati, and I think it's been good to watch, and I'm rooting for him. I hope I want to see him. I want to see them slide in and get one of these spots.
And one of the things, when the slow start happened was okay. If we do set Burrow down, it's not going to help. It's just going to put us back, further and further back. He can't injure it further. So why? If they would have started the year with this kid and then had a couple more wins under their belt, it'd be a whole different scenario here. But yeah, this is this team's definitely better when Joe Burrow's in the lineup and healthy.
Oh, for sure.
Down.
I mean, yeah, you're talking about probably at least a top 5 quarterback in the NFL when everything's good when he's healthy. And unfortunately for him, it's been it's one of those seasons you just throw it out, you forget about it, like there's nothing you can do.
And again, get the kid some offensive line.
Yes.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or maybe a practice facility that's fucking inside.
They have one. It's just it's a blow up one.
Yeah.
It's a blow up one.
Yeah.
That they have to walk to.
Yeah. We're an NFL franchise.
Yeah.
We're an NFL franchise.
Yeah.
And the goddamn colleges around have better. Yeah. How pathetic.
And yeah, so yes, this kid is again in audition. And I think he is making himself a shit ton of money every single week. Again, just spitballing here. You put him on that Vikings roster, I think good things can happen. Is he proven? No. That he can do this over the long run, but he's not going to garner a $40 or $50 million contract at this point.
No.
So is it worth kind of taking a flyer on him? Sure. But if you're the Bengals, I would try to do everything to keep him there, even though Joe Burrow has been pretty healthy leading up to this. But I think it's one of those you really just can't you can't just cap him.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So yeah, he himself is making himself a shit ton of money, and kudos to him. The Bears thing, I think, is a whole. We could probably do a whole show on how the Bears have fucked this whole season up. Same, and the Titans kind of the same way. Will Levis has come in, who's been kind of a little spark plug there for a second, kind of come back down to earth.
Well, and it was this whole situation of with Tannehill being hurt and going to Levis has been perfect for them. Get him some reps.
Yep.
Look, Tannehill had plenty of time to prove that he's not the guy. I mean, has he been a serviceable quarterback? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, he has been.
Yep.
I can't sit here and say bad things about him like I can sit here and talk about Jimmy G for hours, but he's not the guy. Like he's just not the guy. It's time to move on from that. So that one's been a good one. The Bears one is interesting to me just because it's like there's so many questions with them, right? This offseason, like what are you gonna do? Are you gonna keep Eberflus? I think you have to get rid of him. I understand that they've turned it around, but they're you still have to go back to where the season started and like how do you start the season off this fucking bad? How do you look this shitty? And I get it. You guys have figured it out and have kind of, rode the wave here a little bit in the end. And Justin Fields has looked a little bit better. But at the end of the day, like Justin Fields is not going to be the quarterback either, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have the number one pick. How do you walk out of this with? There's so many question marks around Justin Fields. How do you walk out of this draft and not take a quarterback when you're probably going to have the number one pick? You're probably going to have another pick in the top 5 or 6 being your own.
Yeah.
You can trade that. You can do whatever you want with it.
Trade either one.
Yeah.
Or trade Justin Fields.
I mean, to me, you have to trade Justin Fields, and you have to take Caleb Williams. You have to. Like, when are you ever going to get this opportunity again? And
being the Bears, probably highly likely in the next 5 years we're going to have the number one pick yet again. I'm just that optimistic. But if a real organization has these picks 2 years in a row. Mm-hmm. This won't happen again for another decade.
No.
But it is the Bears.
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows?
It's just I don't and I root for Justin Fields, I really do. And it's hard for me to say that being the Buckeye that he is and how he just freaking ran all over Michigan for that 1 year, but I really do. I root for him and I want him to do well. But when you're thinking about him, there's just so many question marks and he's so raw and he's a very good runner, but I don't know if he'll ever, get it going with the passing game. If his accuracy will ever get any better. I just don't think it will.
They said the same thing with Lamar, though.
Yeah,
that's kind of the other side of the coin is that we've seen a player with these skill sets that has. Now, am I saying that Lamar is going to be a 70% completion rate for a whole season? No. Does he need to be? No, he doesn't need to be a Tom Brady-esque, a Peyton Manning-esque, where they have to be accurate because they can't move. And a lot of the throws that each one of these guys are throwing, they're on the move.
Yeah.
Especially Fields because that offensive line is garbage. Yeah. And yes, DJ Moore is a good addition. When they're able to get him the ball, he looks like a number one. But they need someone else. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Cole Kmet is this second leading receiver, if not the leading receiver of this team.
Yeah.
And he's been that way pretty much the whole time Fields has been there. Mm-hmm. So the one positive for the Bears is that they did go out and trade for Sweat. They did extend him, and since then, that defense has been
really good.
Very good squad.
You can't say really anything bad about the defense. They figured it out there.
Yeah. Well, especially since they traded away all the good guys, became terrible. Mm-hmm. And now they're like, all right, well, maybe if we would have paid those guys, we wouldn't be so terrible now.
Yeah.
So they get different guys, and they've been, so far, knock on wood. But yeah, like I said, that probably could be a whole show in and of itself with the Bears and Justin Fields.
Yeah, one day I can argue of why all the reasons why you have to take Caleb Williams at number one, and then I can come right back with arguments and saying, well, yeah, but what if you just get better players to go around Justin Fields? And you have you're gonna have 2 top 5 picks probably. and say Marvin Harrison Jr. leaves and is there. Like,
that's who I want.
Do you take Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 1 and team him up with his old college buddy?
Yeah.
Or do you?
Because that's worked in the past.
Yes.
2Ks.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Burrow, Chase.
Yeah.
It's definitely worked. It's definitely worked.
And this is the thing too. Like, you talk about Burrow and Chase, and Chase from the day he stepped into the NFL was one of the best wide receivers in the
Hands
game.
down.
That's how it's going to be with Marvin Harrison too.
Yes. Yes.
And there's a good chance he stays at Ohio State. But whenever this dude ends up in the NFL, from day one, he's not like, give it a couple years.
Must watch TV.
He's going to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL as a rookie right off the bat. Like, that's how good this kid is.
Yeah, he's going to go right up there. Game 1, Chase.
Yeah, and
Justin
that's where I sit being the Bears is like, yeah, I understand you got to have a quarterback to win in this league. For sure. I mean, it's the most important position on the field, hands down. If you don't have a quarterback, you cannot win in this league. You need that. But you only get opportunities at generational talent every now and again. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is generational talent. Like, you're not going to get another opportunity at every draft to get a receiver of that caliber. No. So you pass that up and you go Caleb Williams, who a lot of people say, he's a generational talent as a quarterback. I don't see it. I do not see it. This season, I think, exploited a lot of him this year, where that team was not very good, and he was not very good with that team.
And a quick aside to that, it kind of showed his immaturity as well.
Absolutely.
And, it's when you think of a generational talent as a quarterback, I mean, there's a certain criteria, at least in my mind. He doesn't seem like that great of a leader. Mentally, he doesn't seem that tough.
He's crying on the sidelines with his mom. Like, come on, man. Come on. You got to grow the fuck up, especially if you're going to be the number 1 pick. You're going to be from day one. If you're number 1 pick to the Chicago Bears as their quarterback of the future, and like, chances are they're probably firing that head coach. You're going to have a brand. You're going to be expected to win now. It's not going to be like, give it some time. We need time.
Yeah.
No, fuck that. Everybody's going to, and it's Chicago. Mm-hmm. Whether the fans, have any leg at all to fucking stand on, they're going to expect you to win now. They're not going to be patient. They've tried this patience shit for a while now. They're ready to get back to winning football. So,
especially for a city and a fan base that has been yearning for good quarterback play.
Yeah.
The last really good quarterback play we had, Smoking Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
Which Cutler got a lot of hate. I really liked Cutler.
Yeah, so did I.
But that's neither here nor there. But yes, Bryce Young, Panthers, terrible.
Yeah, it's not been pretty.
The team that picked right after them, the Texans and C.J. Stroud, have made leaps and bounds. I mean, C.J. was legitimately in the MVP conversation.
Oh, for sure.
And still probably is. Still probably is, by the way. Is he going to win it? No.
We're going to see. We're going to see what happens here in this next couple of weeks. But as of right now, it's got to be Purdy.
The only person that it could, other than him, is McCaffrey.
Yeah, and I mean, you can play, and it drives me insane. It drives me nuts listening to so many people say, "Well, it's just the Kyle Shanahan system. Like, anybody can quarterback on this team." No, they fucking can't. I never saw Jimmy G do that.
No, or the other handful of Trey Lance.
Fucking Trey Lance is with the Cowboys now as like their third string, and he couldn't do that. There's no fucking chance.
Nate Mullins, I think, was there.
Yeah,
and now he's with
back
the Vikings.
in third string with the Vikings and got his opportunity this week. There's no, it's not. That's not how it works.
No.
And the thing is, that offense is so high powered. And do I think you can just plug in any running back and they're gonna put up Christian McCaffrey numbers? Absolutely not.
No.
But you can put in a lot of running backs in that system, and they're going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah,
you can just put in Elijah Mitchell and just let him do his thing, and he's going to put up pretty damn good numbers. Now, are they going to be McCaffrey numbers? Fuck no. If you want to talk about just pure talent, best talent in all of the NFL, Christian McCaffrey's right up there. He's he's in the top 3.
Yeah, and the only other guy I think aside from McCaffrey and Purdy CJ, he's borderline to me. Does he deserve to be in the conversation? Yes, with the season he's done and the rebuild and that whole just reset there, because we all thought the Texans were going to be terrible. The only other guy that can enter that conversation to me is Tyreek Hill.
I agree 100%.
And I would actually put now, I think being not playing this week kind of hurt him. But I would have to slot him above McCaffrey at this point. And it would be Purdy, Tyreek, and then McCaffrey.
I agree with you 100%.
And then CJ Stroud.
It's most valuable player.
Yeah.
If you take Purdy off of that team, I mean, it might be a playoff team, absolutely, because of all the talent they have around them. They're not where they're at right now. This team looks right. Ever since they've gotten Debo and the Trent Williams, left tackle back, they've been untouchable. Like nobody has even been in a game with them. Nothing even close. No. And the way things are going and how good Purdy's playing, like I don't know if anybody can play with them at all as the season goes on. Like right now, from what I've seen, I think this team just runs away with the Super Bowl easy because I haven't seen anything to prove otherwise to me.
And when that happens, Dustin, we need you on the show, live, in the studio, with the ring blazing. Yeah, we want to see it in person, Dustin.
Absolutely,
we want to see it in person. Yeah, because we will be rooting for that so hard, so hard. Not only because you're our boy, but you've been Kyle Shanahan's biggest fan for a long time. Just how cool he is, the offensive genius that he is. So, and we saw what happened last year. If Brock Purdy is healthy through that whole game, I think they beat the Eagles. Do not make it to the Super Bowl.
I think they beat the Eagles. I think they go, and I think
I think they beat the Chiefs.
I think so too. That's how good. That's how good I thought they were. And Brock Purdy comes back this season is just even better than what he was last. And that's why I think if the season ended today, he's got to be the MVP. And if anybody else wins it, I'm fucking pissed. Yeah. And you know, but in the grand scheme of things, like this team we're talking about, they're the best team in the NFL. I don't think there's any argument right now. They're the best team in the NFL. If they go on win the Super Bowl, which they're the favorites to do that, I don't think Brock Purdy gives a shit about that MVP.
No.
That's good teams right there. Like the best teams are the ones that don't give a fuck about the stats. They just want to win. That's the only thing that matters. And I think that Kyle Shanahan is like the best in the biz at that. Like it might be the fullback that gets all of it today, and Debo, you might get 2 or 3 touches. Yeah. And then the next day, Debo's going to have 2 or 3 touchdowns over 100 yards, and George Kittle might be blocking his ass off the whole day.
Yep. And they're cool.
And has 2 catches for 12 yards. But they're good with it.
6 pancakes.
They're good with it. There's not a lot of teams where that shit works. Like you watch the Eagles.
Yeah.
And how many times do you see A.J. Brown come off the sideline just fucking pissed off? He's screaming and yelling at Jalen Hurts because he's not getting the ball. Well, dude, you're fucking being blanketed by 3 over there. Like,
and Devontae Smith's
on single coverage. I'm going to take my chances and just kind of, 1-on-1 to me is better than 1-on-3. Like, I know you're really, really good. And you're really one of the best in the league, and you're very, very tall, and you're very, very strong. And a lot of times, if we just get you the ball, you're very, very fast.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna play the game over here 1-on-1. But like you don't see that shit in San Francisco. No. Like guys aren't coming off the sideline like, oh my god, another 3 touchdown game for Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Nope. George Kittle, he's just the one. He's the reason why he's getting 3 touchdowns because he's blocking his fucking guy all the way down the sideline or out of bounds. And so it's just that mentality that I think that Shanahan's been able to create there. And obviously you need the players to do it. And he's done such a good job of it. I think he's the best coach in the NFL, and I don't even think it's close. Well, and I think it's just been very, very bad luck.
Yeah.
As far as these injuries go, the last few years, yes.
Every year.
And this year, it seems like they've been able to avoid that. Debo was out for a couple weeks, Trent Williams out for a couple weeks, and they were bad with those when they had those injuries. But it's just for a couple weeks. They're back. They're healthy now. Hopefully it stays that way. I don't ever want injuries to be a deciding factor in games. And last season, that San Francisco and Philadelphia Eagles game, injuries were what decided that game.
Well, yeah, when you
don't have a quarterback.
You're almost saying, all right, Christian McCaffrey is going to be our quarterback.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a guy that can throw the ball. Is it Josh Johnson? Who the hell is that? And yeah, plug and play any quarterback. That cat couldn't do it.
No.
I have more faith that Christian McCaffrey could run that offense better, or put George Kittle in there.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, he's got to be better than old Josh Johnson or
Yeah.
whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah.
Well, 2Ks, we've kind of run the gamut here with the NFL quarterback kind of carousel here. Let's talk about the bowl games. Let's talk about these bowl games because 2Ks, your Michigan Wolverines are playing Nick Saban and the Roll Tide Alabama Crimson Tide New Year's Day. Why this is not the primetime game, I don't know.
Well, I think it's a benefit. I think it's kind of a benefit to Michigan, and with them being the 1 seed is you don't want the primetime game because it's basically a home game for Alabama.
Yeah.
To where at least now you take the 5 o'clock game, you take the Rose Bowl, which is the Rose Bowl and the Big Ten have always been kind of the Big Ten used to be always the Pac connection there. So you have Michigan in the Rose Bowl, but you have both teams traveling now, going in obviously to a different time zone, to where. So I think it just kind of makes that home field advantage thing a wash. To where so many of these games, it's an SEC fucking home game every single every year for them.
Yeah, if they were playing at the Caesar Superdome in New Orleans, that would be a little bit of an advantage.
It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit, and it's time that we start changing some fucking things up. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping with going to a 12-team playoff, you get those teams that sit down there in the SEC and play in those fucking domes all the time. Get your fucking asses up here. Come up here. Play a game. It doesn't need to be outside. You come to Indy. Play in Indy.
Yeah.
Come up. Go to Minnesota. Play in Minnesota. That's a beautiful stadium. Why don't we use that? Like we don't have. It doesn't have to. But get the fuck out of this bullshit where all these teams always have to go right to a home game for them. Everything's catered around the SEC and college football, and it pisses me off. And I'm hoping that with this going to a 12 team, we start to change that.
And we will see these SEC teams have to travel up north and play. But yeah, the Rose Bowl, you already mentioned, Pasadena, California, 5 p.m. Monday, January 1st. You can find that on ESPN, which I found out today that there's a lot of kind of traditionalists that are kind of upset that this is not on ABC or wherever the Rose Bowl has traditionally been. But ABC and ESPN are owned by the same company. Does it really matter? Mm-hmm. No. Last I saw, Michigan was 1.5 point favorite.
Yep. Right now, looking on ESPN right now, they're 1.
Oh, it's swung to 1. All right. What's the over/under on that one?
It's pretty low if I remember right. 45.5.
It's kind of middle of the road. I mean, it's nothing huge. How do you see this playing out? And I have a feeling we kind of know who you're going to take on this one. But kind of give us a final score.
Yeah, I think the over/under at 45.5 is pretty accurate for how this game's going to go. I think it's going to be fairly low scoring. There's two things to me that really stick out right off the bat. Can Michigan defend Milroe as being the mobile quarterback that he is? Because they really haven't faced that all season. Mm-hmm. And in years past, they've had a really, really hard time of defending a mobile quarterback. Now, defensively, they've made a lot of adjustments since the Zinter defensive coordinator. Yeah, it is Minter. Since the Minter hire, they've made a lot of adjustments. They don't run so much man-to-man. They run a lot of different zone looks. And that definitely helps with a mobile quarterback. Mm-hmm. So many times when it was in the Don Brown era, you just matched up man-to-man and everybody turned their back on the quarterback. So obviously, I just think of all the games against Ohio State where Don Brown has all of his guys matched up man-to-man. Everybody turns their head to the quarterback, and the guy from Ohio State just runs for an easy 15-20 every single play. Things have changed a little bit there. But, again, when you haven't seen a quarterback like that all season long and you don't really have, somebody that can mock that up in practice, I I would imagine that Alec Orgy for Michigan has been playing Jalen Milroe and
Orgy
will
in the
be
end
playing
zone.
the Jalen Milroe role in practices leading up to that game and kind of showing that off. So I think they'll be prepared there for that. If there's anything with Michigan and the coaching staff the last couple of years is they've been pretty fucking prepared for about everyone every game. And but to me the biggest key, and if Michigan's going to win this game, and it was what lost the game last year, was the poor play by J.J. McCarthy. Lost the TCU game, and J.J. McCarthy's going to have to play one of his best games in his college career if they're going to beat Alabama.
And it's the perfect time to do that.
Yep.
I mean, this is the biggest game he's ever played in. It's the biggest stage he's ever been on. So it's one of those kind of, I'm not going to say it's a put up or shut up game, but it kind of is. It kind of is. And again, talking about an audition. Be great film going in if he declares for the draft this year or even next year. Not many quarterbacks can say they beat Nick Saban in a bowl game in the college football playoff, because that shit doesn't happen that often. Now, on paper, 2Ks, when you look at these two teams, and maybe it's just because of the Regency bias up here, but Milrose is the only really star player, I guess you could say, that's kind of a household name. Whereas Michigan, Blake Corum, J.J. McCarthy, I mean, there's more of a... There really isn't that standout guy, your Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Devontae Smith, that's going to just totally torch this team. Or you look at the string of running backs that Saban's put out there. There really is, and maybe there is that guy that we just haven't noticed it yet.
Sure.
But it seems like this Alabama team is different as compared to years previous. And I still haven't put my finger on if that scares me more or I'm more comfortable taking Michigan to win this game. Because I have a feeling whoever wins this game is going to win the whole damn thing. Not taking anything away from Texas and Washington, but I think Alabama and Michigan are head and shoulders better than those two teams all around. I definitely would take Michigan or Alabama's defense over either of those teams. And I know we're kind of putting the cart before the horse here, but what is your score prediction? 2Ks, Alabama, Michigan, January 1st.
I would say Michigan 27, Alabama 21.
I agree it's going to be a close game. I agree it's going to be a close game. I think the under is going to hit on this one. I think it's going to be like an 18-16, 16-12 type of game here. I think special teams, it's going to come down to special teams. And whether that's a big return to set up an offense, a big punt to pin either offense back, or just a winning field goal. And because both defenses are stout. They can both stop the run. They can both defend the pass. Are either of these quarterbacks pop off the page awesome? No, but they run that each individual offense perfectly. Milrose, yes, had some very, very low times at the beginning of the season, but he's definitely corrected that. Was it a little premature to say give me the Heisman? Yes, absolutely. But you got to respect the moxie a little bit. And the thing that scares me the most is the Saban factor. Is the Saban factor. With a spread of 1, I don't know why you wouldn't just take the money line on this. I think that's I think at that point you might as well just call it a push. But I'm going Bama on this one. And again, very close, 16-14. That's the vibe I'm getting. Definitely with this game in particular, a total opposite of what we saw both games last year.
Sure.
I mean, hell, both semifinal games last year were basically shootouts. I don't think we're going to get that in this one.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to 8:45, Texas, Washington. That, I think, has a little... It sets up more for...
Turns into a little bit of a shootout.
Yeah. What's the over-under on that one? And last I saw, I want to say Texas was 4.5, or am I just making that up? You would think I'd have all this handy, but I don't. Let's click on this, see what happens. All right. Betting odds: Texas 4.5, over under 63.5. So yeah, a totally different vibe on this game.
Well, and I think the Michigan game is going to be low scoring, right? Because probably clock's going to be running a lot, because I think both teams are going to try to establish a run. They're both going to try.
Yes.
It's going to be very similar to kind of how that Michigan Ohio State game played out. Like teams are we're going to try to establish a run. Whoever can be the leading rushing team in the end is going to win that game. To me, it's if Michigan can contain Milroe and Milroe's not able to just run all over the place on them, I don't think Milroe's going to step back and beat them with his arm. No. So it comes down to Michigan has to stop the run there. If they can hold him, because in most of the games you watch of him, the kid's got 70, 80 rushing yards. I mean, you look at the Auburn game, you look at in the Georgia game where he wasn't making very many plays with his arm. I mean, I know the Auburn play, they win the game on a fucking heave, and that's the only reason why they're in this fucking game is because of that heave. Yeah. But yeah, it's so funny to me how things change so fast with sports. Like, they were one play. Just a fucking heave that Milroe throws out of his ass, and the guy catches it because Auburn's shitty and terrible and doesn't know how to defend on a 4th and 37 or something like that. Last play of the game.
They played great defense.
And if that
for like 59 minutes.
If that doesn't happen, Alabama's not even going to be in a conversation, regardless of what the fuck they do against Georgia. Nobody gives a fuck.
Yep.
But now all of a sudden people are like, well, this has been one of the best teams in college football all season. All season, because they beat Georgia. Well, how good was Georgia this year? Because I don't think they were very fucking good.
No,
I don't think they were good. I think that where they're at is where they belong, especially after losing to that Alabama team. So I don't know. People are kind of just like, people are writing off this Washington and Texas game, and I think these two teams are pretty damn good. And I think Washington has just. I mean, what else does Washington have to do? Like, they answered the bell so many times this season.
Well, Josh Losa is certainly hammering the over on the Longhorns and Huskies.
I would. I would too. I absolutely. But like, for me, like, I don't think anybody gives Washington any respect on this.
No, just because they're Washington.
And it's and like, they're freaking good. And when so many people there's a lot of people that had Oregon as the number 1, number 2 team in the nation. Washington beat them twice. So
I think with Washington, if we get a good version of Penix, this game is going to be extremely close. Very high scoring, because that kid can spin it. Probably one of the more effortless throwing quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life, whether right-handed or left-handed. And then this Texas team is very, very potent offense again.
Yeah.
As far as the defense is concerned, I think you have to lean a little bit more towards Washington.
Yeah. Is there even a defense you can lean on in this one?
No.
Like, I don't think either one of these defenses are worth a shit. And then you have two of the best quarterbacks in college football. And you can make a very, very, very good case for each one of these teams as far as their offensive weapons.
Yeah.
Because both of these teams have really, really good receivers.
Yes. And the receiver for Washington, aside from Marvin Harrison Jr., is probably the best receiver, or one of the 3 guys in the conversation is who the next guy is. Now, my question is, 2Ks, if viewers can grow the mullet by January 1st, you got to take Texas in the points and hammer that over. If the mullet does not make it in time, then I mean I'm joking, but not really, because I think I'm leaning Washington on this one. Give me the points, and again, regardless of who wins or loses, I think Josh is right. You have to hammer the over on this one.
I agree with that one.
Because I mean, 63. Let's say, because it's 63.5, 64. That's saying that both teams are going to score at least 32 points. I think that honestly could hit by halftime.
Yeah.
Honestly could hit by halftime.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way on this, and I just sat here and said, like, everybody keeps on writing Washington off and writing them off, and I'm going to continue to do that. I think this Texas team is I think they're the real deal. I think Quinn Ewers is one of the best in college football. He's loaded with a lot of depth at wide receiver. They got a lot of different guys. It doesn't seem like it's always the same guy. They got kind of
in a very good running game.
And just a lot of balance. So I think Texas is going to win this game. I expect over to hit. I think it's going to be a close game. But I think Texas wins this one, and I think we're going to be looking at a Texas-Michigan national championship.
And the one thing that separates this Washington team, aside from the record, obviously, but from Washington teams in the past or any Pac-12 teams in the past, was just how damn good the Pac-12 was this year. Mm-hmm. Kind of a shame that or you can think about it as they went out with a bang, because this is the most loaded Pac-12 I've seen since maybe Pete Carroll in the USC days, but probably depth-wise, it's as deep as it's been. Josh also says where Milrose will be most dangerous will be when Bama spreads Michigan out on passing plays and he takes off with his legs. Very interested to see how U of M goes about trying to account for that. That's something that you brought up. Yeah. Something that you brought up. So, yeah, we've got, in your eyes, a Michigan-Texas final, and I've got a Bama-Washington final. Mm-hmm. So
you look at like Michigan all season long. They do a lot of two linebacker defenses. They play the nickel with Sanistril, and I believe Sanistril plays a huge role in this game because I think you kind of use him as a spy, right? Like in a lot of these situations. He's proven all season long he's a very good tackler in the open field. He's very fast. It's going to obviously when you're playing against a quarterback like this, it's going to be an entire team. Everybody's got to be rallying to the ball on everything. But I think that a guy like the Sanistril to me is somebody that I think probably plays a huge. And I'll be kind of interested to see how they do that between Sanistril and then Barrett is their other linebacker that they could possibly use in that. But I kind of lean towards Sanistril just because he's faster and I think he matches up on that better. But this is going to be one hell of a game, in my opinion, just because of everyone involved. You have Nick Saban, you have the best of the best college football coach of all time, and then you have Jim Harbaugh and everything that this has happened this season. I think Harbaugh has kind of built this staff around him that is really good, and they don't. The one thing that they've proven in the last couple of years is they don't normally get outcoached.
No.
I can't really look at a game here in the last couple of seasons and been like, man, they got outcoached. Last year they lost that TCU game because of they didn't execute. Bad plays. You turn the ball over how many times? You turn the ball over on inside your own goal line. You throw a pick six, and you still had the ball in the end of that game with an opportunity to go win. Yeah. So that was not, and that's the only loss that they've had in the last couple of years, other than the Georgia loss where they were just completely outmatched and it wasn't even close. But so when you just all the big names involved and everything there, it's like I think that game is just going to be one for
the ages.
Yes.
And hypothetically, 2Ks could be the last game for whichever team wins. Obviously, there isn't going to be the coach's last game, but could be the last time we see both Saban and Harbaugh, because there's rumors, and yes, albeit rumors. Which I'm sure we'll talk about here in the off season. But there's been many people say that this is Saban's last year. I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either.
I don't believe it.
I don't think that'll be the story, right? As we start getting closer to this game, and I think both of these guys will be back as head coaches of Alabama and Michigan next season when it's all said and done.
Like I've said, it would be the biggest suck my dick moment if Jim Harbaugh strides out there week one and says, "Hey, I'm not going anywhere."
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. That's my go win it all this year, and still fucking come back and whatever.
Now one thing I did want to bring up that we kind of glossed over with the quarterbacks is we did have a comment on the Facebook post here from Bradley Newell. Good story I heard today on the topic, talking about the quarterback carousel that we're seeing here. Heard today on this topic was most college ball isn't preparing most backups for the NFL. Most number 2 quarterbacks that come out of college have run spread, and it doesn't translate into the NFL. Most drafted backups need years to develop unless they are used to a pro-style offense. interesting take on, interesting take, but makes sense. I myself hate the spread, run and gun. Look at Oregon, never won Natty. Oklahoma spread. Rattler will never be a good NFL quarterback. Rant over. Forgot to mention, Bo Nix will suck in the league as well. Which, I mean, the only thing that Bo Nix has is he's played a shit ton of football.
But to me, I mean, just kind of to piggyback off of that, because I 100% agree with that. This transfer portal's not doing any favors either. You're not developing anybody. You're the quarterback there. So, and if you're not the starter, then you're just going to transfer to another school. And if you're the starter, then fine. We're gonna get you in there. But if you're the backup quarterback in any of these colleges, especially these Power 5 teams, these that are competing for something, like nobody.
We just saw
you don't even know who their fucking name is. I mean, the Travis injury to Florida State, devastating, ruined their entire perfect season, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knew who the fucking backup quarterback was there until it all happened. No, not one person. If Michigan was to lose J.J. McCarthy, nobody knows who that. I don't even know who would be the next guy in line. I don't know who.
You heard it here first.
I mean, I know the names, but like, look, I watched a lot of games where Michigan had games in the bag this season, and then they brought in these other kids. Man, there's not anybody in college football that could take an injury to their number one quarterback and be okay. Now it's not. Nope. Maybe Texas. If you have an injury to Ewers, maybe Arch Manning is ready to step in. I don't know. Haven't even seen the fucking kid play. So everybody just wants to crown the kid because his last name.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit in mop-up duty, but other than that, as far as the lead-in, the prep leading into the game, don't know. But it's coming to the end 2Ks of both mine and yours. One of our favorite sports. College football, because of conversations like this, and I think it's only going to get better with the 12-team playoff. I mean, yes,
it can't get worse because this system has been flawed since the very beginning. And it's very, very fortunately for college football is they haven't had very many seasons where they've really had to worry about it because things have just
like
kind of played out. Well, this year it all came front and center, and you can't. How do you have a Power 5
with
four spots and make that make sense? And look, I don't know if you talked about it when I wasn't here when this all came out. I think that the Final Four is 100% correct. I can't say a bad thing. Now, does that say that I don't feel bad for Florida State? Oh, I fucking feel awful for them.
Heart's ripped out.
Because if this team goes. Perfect season, they win all their games like they did, and Travis is still the quarterback there. They're probably either the 2 seed or they're the 3 seed, hands down. But unfortunately, if that Florida State team lines up and they play against Michigan,
they're getting the doors blown off.
It's not even close. No. It's not even close. No. And
it would probably be a better game than the Michigan-Iowa game, but still,
Maybe. I mean, yeah, I would agree with that because I think Iowa, they could score some points. Yeah. Now Iowa's defense is better, so Michigan might score more points on Florida State.
It'll be a more entertaining game.
Yeah.
But no, to kind of backpedal here, the reason this has worked for so long is the Pac-12 has been garbage.
Sure.
That's okay. There's your 5 down to 4, and we've seen. Teams like Cincinnati sneak in. We've seen teams like Notre Dame sneak in where haven't been heavy favorites in each one of the conferences. But now, this year, and I pretty much said word for word verbatim what you said. As far as the 4 teams, the 4 best teams as of Selection Sunday, they got it right.
Oh yeah, but my problem with the whole thing is though, this wasn't Devin Travis didn't get hurt in the conference championship game. This was something that happened 3 weeks in advance. We knew this. So why didn't they change that in the rankings before? You can't use that as your reason. And I agree with your reason.
Yeah.
But you can't just pull that out of your pocket after the conference championship games and then use it. Use it right off the bat. Everybody knew. I said it the night that the injury happened. I said they can go undefeated and they're still probably going to have a hell of a time getting in. Just because when it comes down to it, they're not going to want that. Nobody's going to want a team in the college football playoff of 4 that doesn't have their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Nobody can take that. I just said it a second ago. If J.J. McCarthy's not on Michigan's lineup and he's not healthy, Michigan's not a top 4 team.
No.
Period.
No.
Jalen Milroe's not on Alabama's team, and they got to go with a different quarterback. They are not a top 4 team. They're probably not a top 4 fucking team with him.
No. We saw the Tyler Buckner experience for at least a half.
You take Michael Penix off of Washington. They are not a top 4 team. You take Quinn Ewers I don't give a fuck about Manning. I haven't even seen him yet. You take Ewers off of that team. They are not top 4. That's how it works. So unfortunately, with the way it happened, Florida State does not deserve. They deserve to be there, but they got it right with them not being there. It's if that makes any sense at all, because I have a hard time saying that and then saying that makes sense, because it doesn't make sense. But in the way that I've kind of wrapped my mind around in 2Ks is it's not the 4 most deserving teams, it's the 4 most talented teams, and they got it right. I just have a hard time though with. You can't just pull that out in the very end and say
damn good and well they were hoping, praying that Florida State lost one of those 3 games so they wouldn't have to deal with it at all. And Florida State's like, no, we're actually going to win these, and we're going to force you to make a choice, and they did. And
then with where they have Louisville ranked going into the game too, maybe you got to give some credit to that, damn, they just beat a top 8 team in the nation in their conference championship game, because that's where they had Louisville ranked at with their 3rd string quarterback. Because that's where Florida State was at. Their backup didn't even play in that game. They had their 3rd string out there. So it's just the committee has been because I think we all can agree that college football and everybody in charge and the committee and everybody they're all a bunch of fucking idiots, right? I mean, you got a bunch of guys, probably a bunch of nerds that never even played this fucking sport, but they sit there and they write on the sport. They're sports writers or something, so they have an opinion. Kind of the same thing with fucking baseball. Don't even get me started. But so we have all these nerds that fucking sit up there and think that they know what the fuck they're talking about, and they put all this together, but they don't think of things like that. How do you just have a team that I understand what you're saying and I agree with it, but how do you just pull that out after this injury happened 3 weeks before that, and now you use it the night before? And it's because they were sitting back just hoping that Georgia won, right?
Yeah.
They were just hoping that Georgia wins this game, everything plays out, and we can fucking blend in like we do every year, and people don't have to tune in on their TV and look and see what us dipshits are doing. We actually got to do our job.
Right.
So they've been very fortunate that things have worked out, but. Yeah, I look forward to going to a 12 team. We can finally take these morons out of the equation. They can't fuck up anything else. And don't even get me started.
Well, 2Ks, let's move to our top 5 here. And we are running a little long, guys and gals, but that's okay because like we said, this is our last show of the year. And with that being said, let's turn some snow on here because we're talking about Christmas cookies. Top 5 Christmas cookies. And I was kind of going a couple different ways with this. It's like, okay. And I thought, this is going to be kind of hard because everyone's family kind of has their own little signature cookie or something that we grew up with that I have a very good feeling you didn't grow up with because our parents are from different places. But I was like, you know what? Screw it. There's some classics here that I think are going to be on both of our lists. And there's going to be some unique ones. And I'm kind of excited to see how our lists kind of compare to each other and kind of get because who doesn't love a Christmas cookie? And I'll start with mine because I usually go last on these, but I'll go ahead and get us started. And for one, I'm not a bland kind of cookie guy. I mean, for those of you that know, I am diabetic. So when I do indulge, I like to at least have a little bit of fun with it. And our snow's not working, so we'll turn it off. Party pooper. But I mean, gingerbread didn't make my list. There is one, and we'll start out with that with number 5. Is your classic sugar cookie, and I'm not talking about the ones that you make with the kids and they put all the frosting on it. It's like there's some of them that are just kind of naked in essence with a little bit of sugar on top, and they're not hard as boards. You know what I mean? And to me, to get a good sugar cookie, you have to buy it. I've never really had a good like standout sugar cookie that someone's made.
Sure.
So number 5, going to start out the list, classic sugar cookie. It's hard to go wrong, but it's easy to go wrong, but when you find a good one, man, is it awesome. My number 4, kind of going a little off here, just your standard no-bake cookies. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, you can dress up a no-bake as however you want. You could even put little bits of peppermint in there, some M&Ms. I mean, sky's the limit with no bakes. So I've got no bake at number 4. Number 3, this is one that I have a feeling is going to be kind of central to the Jackson household. Is date nut pinwheels, which they sound terrible. Mm-hmm. They are a pain in the ass to make, which is why my mom only makes them around the holidays. And it's one of those things where we kind of grew up on them. Now, Kristen loves them as well. So that's kind of a good thing. So yeah, date nut pinwheels coming in at 3. Number 2, I got to go peanut butter blossom here, 2Ks. What better marriage than a peanut butter cookie with the Hershey Kiss on top? Classic, can't go wrong with that. And someone that's made quite a lot of cookies, it's really hard to mess up peanut butter cookies. I mean, it's the list of ingredients is not that big. So, and then you just top it off with you put your thumb in it, put your Hershey Kiss in there. And number 1, 2Ks, the Snickerdoodle. Love me some Snickerdoodles, and the Snickerdoodle really isn't like it's a cookie you can have all year round. So I think kind of the versatility of the Snickerdoodle, and there's if you Google Snickerdoodle recipes, there's about 1 million of them. I saw one that had eggnog frosting on it, and I was like, ooh, give me some of that. Give me some of that. So 2Ks, your number 5 Christmas cookie.
All right, number 5, I'm just going to go basic, probably the most basic cookie that everybody loves, chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah, timeless classic.
Yeah, I mean, how can you go wrong with one? Easy. I know it's not really like anything special as far as around the holidays or Christmas, but anytime you put a chocolate chip cookie on the table, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
So
regardless of the time of year.
Yep. Don't give a fuck. Peanut butter blossoms, number 4. Yeah.
Gotta love those.
Yeah. I mean, you have them every holiday. Great cookies. Can't go wrong with them. Number 3, I'm a sucker for oatmeal raisin cookies.
You are a weirdo.
Fucking love them. I don't know what it is about them because I'm not even really that big of a fan of oatmeal, and I don't really like raisins at all. But when you put them together, something about it, I like them, and I'll sit there and eat them all night long. So
I'm the complete opposite of that. I get mad because they're not chocolate chips and they're actually raisins. But will I sit and eat one? Sure, with a little glass of milk. But that, to me, that's a cookie that you have to have milk with.
Yeah.
So.
And then number 2, I'm gonna go no bake. I love no bake cookies.
It's hard to go wrong with a good no bake.
Yeah, I love them. And then number 1 for me, I call them. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people that know me or have been around my house know. I just call them my mom's Christmas cookies. It's a sugar cookie, but yeah, I love them. And it's funny because not everybody in my family is crazy about them, but for some reason, like ever since I was just little, like I think the world of these cookies. And I've never had a cookie that tastes better. So like it's like my favorite thing on Christmas because she makes them every single year on Christmas Eve night. So then we go over there on Christmas Day. They're fucking fresh. They're ready to rock. And the best part about it is not everybody likes them, so I always end up going home with a lot of them. Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to make sure I partake in one of these.
Yes.
Mom's.
You're gonna have to come over very, very soon after Christmas because they don't last very long in the house.
So everyone else in the house likes them too, huh?
Yeah.
It's just the.
Well, yeah. I mean, the kids. What cookie out there does a kid not like? So when you have 3 of them, they're all going for them all the time. But I think so highly of these cookies that I actually hide them up on top of the cupboards where I'm the only one that can reach them. Yeah.
I love it. Well, 2Ks, let's check in on this Ravens-Jags score. We've got a 10-0 game here at halftime. 10-0 game at half. One odd stat leading into this, 2Ks. ETN has not had 100-yard game in like 6 or 7 games, which I find rather odd. Rather odd considering the start to the season he had and all that. But yeah, it's and then who plays Monday? I think that's the
Eagles and Seahawks.
Eagles Seahawks. Eagles -3 over under 45.5. Man, that's if you're thinking that Jalen and Geno are not playing, I would go hammer that under right now. Because the backup carousel, I couldn't tell you who the backup to either of those teams are. And Josh Lowe commented when we were talking about the whole Florida State thing. He goes, "Sounds a lot like the NFL, doesn't it? In terms of backups leading the team." It's like, yeah. So it's not just the
quarterbacks are hard to come from. I mean, that's going back to the conversation we had about the Bears earlier. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I understand that you have a generational talent of Marvin Harrison if he enters this draft, but you can't win in that. You can't win in this league without a quarterback.
Nope.
And so you have to sit back and you have to really, really think long and hard. Is Justin Fields the answer? Can you win with Justin Fields as your quarterback? I don't know. I can make an argument on both sides. It's a tough one to make.
And there's teams where you can't make the other side of the argument. New England. I think Mac Jones is done.
No, I 100% agree.
If not Bill Belichick. So it'll be interesting to see because that team's got probably the most holes ever in a Bill Belichick team. But yeah, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time leading up to the draft to get into that. In 2Ks, is there anything else that we didn't touch on here?
Nope.
Lions with a big win today.
Yeah.
Got back on track. Excuse me. Again, playing at home. Russ was not cooking. Not cooking at all.
I'll tell you who was. Mr. Sam Laporta. He was cooking.
Yeah. And for those Lions fans that were cursing the team on draft day, selecting Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta with their first 2 picks, you got some egg on your face there, boys. You got some egg on your face because those two, that tandem going forward, I'm going to throw it out there. I don't even care who the quarterback is.
Yeah.
That's a special tandem there. And then St. Brown. I mean, that's in a defense that not great. Can they figure it out?
That's the thing too. Is like, and they have it so good on the offensive side right now, and they've got it all figured out there.
When they're not turning the ball.
When they're not turning over the ball, exactly. That now they can address all defense this next offseason. Like, I think that they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to win that division. And hopefully, I'd like to see them, win a game in the playoffs. And but I don't think they're ready to take that, that San Francisco step where they're a true contender or a favorite. But they're a team they're young. They're going to be around for a long time. And now, they have everything pretty much set on the offensive side. They have a great offensive line, and they've built around that. And they have Jared Goff, who has proven that when he is not turning the ball over, is a very, very good quarterback and is good enough to win in the league. No question about it. They have got to improve on defense. They got to improve there. And they tried to. They tried to in the offseason, and unfortunately with injuries, two of the guys they went out and spent the most money on that defense have played what? They lost CJ there in the first game of the season, so he's been out, and he was who they spent some of the most money on.
Looks like he's trending back.
Yeah, and then with the injury to the ACL injury to Mosley, the defensive back that came from San Francisco, those are 2 guys that would be huge difference makers on this defense now. But they got, to me, the first thing that just jumps off the paper to me is they have to get pass rush help to take some of the heat off of Aiden Hutchinson,
who's getting triple teamed.
Yeah.
Or double team with a chip, every single play. So, but no, and if they win the division 2Ks, they're gonna have a home playoff game. So I like the odds there. Well, 2K crew, we love each and every one of you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Like I said, we did go a little long today because we're off for the next 2 weeks. So everyone have a happy holiday, a fantastic new year, and we will see you in 2024. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.